What's up? Welcome back to my channel, or for the first time if you're new. I'm Sylvan, and today I'm going to be reacting to A Moment Among the Stars, Lost and Adrift. Now, this is obviously another Jiaoqiu thing. I still don't know how to pronounce his name, but whatever. I don't really have any idea what I'm going to be getting into here, but I'm really curious to see after I really was just sort of pulled in by his demo. Check out my reaction to that if you're interested. So let's just get right into it.
Worldly matters are fickle, much like a maze. Twists and turns, crisscrossing paths.
I'm liking the vibe of this already.
Leave Lake and step onto the battlefield. A healer's purpose is to mend wounds and save lives.
Yeah.
You pull the dying from death's grip, only to see them march back into it.
Damn.
Saving one person is child's play. Saving the world is as hard as reaching the heavens.
Huh.
Do I press forward or run away?
This is not what I expected from him.
You can't help but ask yourself, how does a healer heal himself? Answer with victory. Every life saved makes for the salvation of all. Now, you must make another choice.
What is
Will
that?
the result of this treatment be life or death? Are you ready to face the end? Jiaoqiu.
Huh. That was much more introspective than I expected from him. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna watch it again.
Worldly matters are fickle, much like a maze.
I like how it starts with his much more
turns,
composed
crisscrossing
tone,
paths,
but just becomes more strained as it goes.
And step onto the battlefield.
Like it sort of begins
Healer's
here.
purpose is to mend wounds and save lives. You pull the dying from death's grip.
The wording is also
Only to see them
very
march
intense.
back into it. Saving one person is child's play. Saving the world
Interesting.
is as hard as reaching the heavens. Do I press forward or run away? You can't help but ask yourself, how does a healer heal himself?
I love that line.
Answer with victory. Every life saved makes for the salvation of all. Now, you must make another choice. Will the result of this treatment be life or death? Are you ready to face the end? Jiaoqiu.
Okay, so first off, Jiaoqiu. Gonna try to internalize that a little bit, but yeah, no, I love this vibe-wise. So, worldly matters are fickle, much like a maze. Just gonna be going through little tidbits of it to see what I can parse out. Twists and turns, crisscrossing paths. Yeah, so talking about how worldly matters, the day-to-day things that happen, are constantly these twisting and turning, crisscrossing paths between everyone. And then he takes into the context of a battle, and then he begins to get more directly introspective on the purpose of a healer. Something that he is, but by the fact that he's an nihility character, not an abundance character, it's clear that he isn't just purely a kind and altruistic and happy person. There is some edge to him that we see a little bit in his demo, and who knows, maybe the story. I haven't done the latest story yet. I've been meaning to get to it, just haven't. Yeah, and so he comes back to the purpose of a healer, which is to mend wounds and save lives. I can agree with that. That is pretty straightforward. You pull the dying from death's grip, which in the most extreme cases, yes, only to see them march back into it. The idea of especially a combat medic, someone who is out being a healer for warriors in a ongoing battle or war. It is this very strange, almost contradictory experience of you are saving lives so that they can risk them and potentially just bring themselves back to you, if not just die outright. And to represent this shift, I like how it's all bright colors, lots of greens and yellows, even here, lots of blues as well. And then it just shifts to reds, browns, oranges, dark colors as this guy just gets shot through. And I want to just see this in motion again. Yeah. No, I love the visual of whatever that was just shooting through the guy, presumably killing him instantly. And then there's all of the other people around that are dead. It looks like they're the, like, werewolf people, which, interesting. And then another thing that I just like visually is the pacing of the camera movement with this. I'll let it play in motion so I can show. With every step, the panning of the camera slows. It's consistently sticking with his movement. It's not going ahead of him. It's not doing a steady motion that would keep up with him. It is doing this slow, methodical move, pause, which, I don't know, just something about that gives an interesting effect to me, and I just like it. Then he expands out to not just saving lives, but saving the world is as hard as reaching the heavens, having previously said that saving one person is child's play. This idea that he can save an individual person, but when he has to deal with dozens, hundreds, however many people he needs to save, let alone the world itself. If he, as a healer, does not save the soldiers that he is taking care of, they will not be able to do what they need to do to win whatever war they're fighting. And if we're trying to be all optimistic about the nature of it, they're probably trying to save the world in some way, shape, or form based on the implication of this. So if he isn't able to match that, if he isn't able to make sure that entire armies stay alive, then they may not be able to save the world. Just working within the context of what he's saying, I don't know if that's really the exact comparison point meant, but that's what comes to mind. And he questions himself whether or not he should press forward, just suck it up and try, or if he should run. And it pans to the darker side, where we see him looking at the backs of the soldiers of the army that he supports. And then he continues saying, you can't help but ask yourself, how does a healer heal himself? Now, of course, there's the literal interpretation of this of, it's pretty hard to do medicine on yourself if you are injured or hurt or dying or whatever, but almost assuredly, this is talking more in the mental, emotional, philosophical sense. In the sense of, he carries such an immense burden of being the person who determines whether people live or die, essentially. And the toll that is taken on him, presumably when he can't save people, when he can, but then they just go out and die despite that. Whatever it is, there is this constant and ever-growing trauma and pain and just oppressiveness, presumably, with his line of work. And I like the, I believe, Fei Zhao cameo here, leading the army into battle. And with her appearance, we get the line, they answer with victory. Now, I think this is supposed to be Moe's, and those are just like generic people. So I don't think Jiaoqiu is one of the people shown here exactly, but that actually sort of works with how this is being phrased as they answer with victory, almost as if he asked the question, how does healer heal himself? And Fei Zhao answers with victory. Just doing a little bit of reading between the lines, speculation there, but still. Every life saved makes for the salvation of all. Rather than allowing yourself to be weighed down by the fact that there are so many you could not save or saved only to then be lost, alternatively, look to those you have saved. Those who have lived because of you is a step towards victory, towards salvation, towards healing yourself. It's essentially saying, be optimistic, not pessimistic, look to your achievements, not to your failures. And then he moves on, not acknowledging whether or not he has internalized that answer, as it wasn't that he came to that answer, it's written as they say this, not that I say this or believe this. So it's possible that he doesn't fully agree with that, or hasn't internalized it. So he then tells himself that you must make another choice. And though we don't know that he's saying this about himself when he says you initially, By the end, he is referring to himself in the third person, so it implies that this entire last bit is more talking to himself than anything. The question he tells himself he must answer is, will the result of this treatment be life or death? Before saying, are you ready to face the end, Jiaoqiu? What this puts in my mind is that he is actively questioning, whether in a literal sense or a philosophical sense, he is questioning his own mortality and reason for being. He talks about how a healer's duty is to pull the dying out of death's grip, to essentially save people, to ensure they live. But despite that, they inevitably die all the same. And then he asks, how do you heal a healer? He is a healer, so he's asking, how do I heal myself? And with that previous acknowledgement comes the additional piece to that of, and will it even matter if you can, because you might just die all the same? Which then brings us to this final question again of, will the result of this treatment be life or death? He is asking this question about himself to himself. Will the result of the treatment of himself as a healer, trying to heal himself, be life or death? Will he live or die? And follows that up with the question, are you ready to face the end? And the way I see this is less so of a rhetorical question of, you need to be ready to face the end, as much as it is the very legitimate question of, do you truly believe you can accept death? Will you not fight against it? Will you not try to save yourself? That is what I get out of this. The first half sets the stage and poses this circumstance that everyone dies, and those who he saves die all the same, even if it is just a little later. And the second half is moving into questioning the purpose of healing. If it is the case that everyone dies no matter what, does it truly matter that he saved them to give them another day or another hour of life? And the way I see this as the ending question is not a clear answer to that question, but a strong sentiment of, there is a point to it still. If you yourself are fighting against the dying of the light, to quote classic poetry, if you yourself are fighting against the dying of the light, then that implies that you hold an importance in that remaining time you have and extending that time. Therefore, it is important to give that chance to everyone you can. That is where my mind goes with this. I have no idea how off base I am here, as I truly haven't looked into his character enough to know if this is the kind of thing he would ask of himself, if this is the kind of thing he would question, but that is where this leads me. And I find that really intriguing that this is the direction that things are going for his character. And it, once again, is another nail in the coffin of me probably pulling for him, which, great, I'll just suffer if I don't manage to get him or whatever. Or if, because I get him, I can't get Bei Zhao. Whatever. Either way, I love this, and I'll leave it there, as I think I've sort of explored it as much as I reasonably can with my level of knowledge of his character. So, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and if you have any thoughts, leave them in the comments, whether or not you like his character, whether or not you like this video, that kind of thing, and I hope you all have a great day, and goodbye!